I work the overnight security shift at a decommissioned hospital in rural Pennsylvania. The building stopped taking patients years ago. A private company bought it for storage and occasional research projects. My job sounded simple. I walk the halls every hour, check that the doors are locked, and keep squatters out. Seemed like easy money, or so I thought. It was a Wednesday in late November. The cold that night didn't just sting. It sank into your skin and lingered. The drive-in was silent. There were no cars on the highway and no distant town lights, just a heavy black sky. When I arrived in the cracked lot, my headlights illuminated a forest of broken windows. Normally, the wind rattles the loose panes like chattering teeth. But that night, there was nothing. Not a breath of air and not a single insect. Even the trees stood still, as if they were listening. The main entrance opened like a dark mouth. Inside, the fluorescent bulbs buzzed weakly, casting a sickly yellow light. I signed in, clipped the radio to my belt, and tried to push away the uneasy quiet closing in around me. The hospital has 5 stories and 2 long wings. Most of the lights are off, so I depend on a heavy mag light. My boots echoed on the tile as I walked past the closed cafeteria. The smell of old disinfectant and damp plaster stuck to everything. Near the pediatric ward, something made me stop. A faint giggle, high and quick, like a child playing hide and seek. I turned sharply. "Hello!" My voice sounded flat, lost in the corridor. A moment later, I heard something metallic clink far down the hall, like a toy falling on the tile. I took a breath and told myself it was just pipes or maybe a raccoon. Sounds travel oddly in these old places. Still, I felt the hairs on my arms stand up as I continued. By 1:30 a.m., I entered the surgical wing, my least favorite part. The air always feels heavier there, like the pressure drops. Rusted gurneys leaned against the walls, their wheels locked at odd angles. That's when the overhead speaker system, which had been disconnected for a long time, crackled to life. A woman's voice, calm and clinical, announced, "Code Blue, operating theater." The sound was clear, too real to be a prank recording. I grabbed my radio. "Dispatch, this is Post 1. Did someone just trigger the PA?" I only got static, a hiss that grew louder the longer I held the button. Against every instinct, I followed the corridor. The smell hit me first, fresh antiseptic, so strong it burned my nose. The flashlight beam jittered over peeling paint and dark streaks that might have been rust or something else. Halfway there, I felt it. A slow vibration through the floor, like faint footsteps ahead of me, perfectly matched to my own until they stopped when I did. I whispered, "Who's there?" No answer, just a low electrical hum that seemed to seep from the walls. The double doors stood ahead, the small round window covered in dirt. But through it I saw something clear. A figure in a faded surgeon's gown and mask stood perfectly still by the operating table, head tilted slightly as if listening. My heart raced painfully. I tested the handle. It was locked. The speaker whispered again, this time softer, "Scalpel." The lights inside flickered once, a harsh white, then the whole room went dark. I stumbled back and nearly dropped the flashlight. Somewhere behind me, a door slammed, then another. I heard a ripple of sound, as if the building was breathing. I turned and ran. My footsteps echoed through the empty halls, and the beam of light moved across faded murals of smiling children. Something brushed my sleeve, light, deliberate, like fingertips. At the stairwell, the door creaked open by itself. A gust of air carried the smell of smoke and burned plastic. Faint alarms rang in my ears, even though the building was dead silent. I sprinted to the security office and slammed the door. My chest heaved as I turned on every light. That's when I saw them. Muddy footprints on the linoleum, small like a child's, leading straight into the room. They stopped just short of the chair I had left empty. There were no prints going back out. The radio erupted with static that changed into a faint, rhythmic beeping, like a heart monitor, before cutting out completely. For the next 4 hours, I sat rigid, flashlight in one hand, chair braced against the door. Every few minutes, the building let out a low, hollow groan, as if something heavy was shifting above me. At sunrise, my supervisor arrived. I tried to explain the voice, the surgeon, the footprints. He listened without a single interruption, his eyes fixed on the wall behind me as if he were reading something I couldn't see. Finally, he said, "Operating Theater 2 was sealed after a fire in '98. There's no power to that wing." And he paused. That was the room where a surgeon died during an emergency procedure. He had a heart attack mid-operation. They never finished the reconstruction. He handed me a clipboard to sign the night report. The pen he gave me was cold, too cold, as if it had been sitting in ice. I left my badge on the counter and walked out without saying another word. I've taken other jobs, but sometimes, deep in the night when the house settles, I hear that calm voice again. It sounds so close that it feels like it's coming from inside my own skull. Scalpel. When it happens, I swear I can smell antiseptic, sharp and sterile. I feel a tiny hand slip into mine before vanishing.